Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're gonna do a review for you on the new Blade CX4 4-channel coaxial helicopter. So I picked this thing up, actually used. I took it in on trade-in about a little over a week ago now, and I ended up having to order some brand new blades for it because any blades that the guy had were all pretty much destroyed, and what was left that was good was not enough for a full set. So I ordered new blades, got my new blades in the mail today, and took it out for a flight. And I must say it's a pretty decent machine. It flies really well. Now the wind outside at the time was about 11 kilometers per hour northeast wind, and so it gave it a bit of a good test for flying in the wind. And I gotta say, at 11 kilometers an hour, it's a little too much for this bird to handle. I would probably say it's more suitable for about maybe 8 or 9 kilometers per hour maximum and below. But it will still fly half decently in about an 11 kilometer an hour wind. So it's not too bad that way. Now, the one thing I did some research while I was actually waiting for the blades, because at the time of doing the trade deal, you know, I'm not sitting there researching the helicopter, so I researched it afterwards, and there was a lot of complaints about blades breaking like crazy on this thing, and that there was no fix in the works either for it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I'd noticed that the blades that were left on this thing were really tight, so they're not moving around like, you know, they should. They're just really tight. So if your blades are tight on any coaxial helicopter, never mind this one, you will have a large problem. If you bump into something, there's not enough head speed in coaxials to allow that to recover properly, or in time usually either. So running tight blades is going to cause blade damage, it's going to cause crashes, and you are not going to be a happy customer. And so I'm kind of wondering if everybody else who's having blade breakage problems and crashing problems is because their blades are too tight. Because when you go to try and stretch out tight blades, unless you have them like precisely perfectly straight, which you're not going to do by eyeball, you're going to have a problem. Okay, it's also going to cause poor flight, everything. And so anyway, I set it up with the new blades the way I set up all my coaxials and actually some of my single blade helis, and that's that I run the blades looser. Okay, so I tighten them up until they're just snug and tight. Just back off each screw just a little bit until you get some movement in there. You know, it has to have some free flow. It can't be, you know, knock it on its side and then it drops type of thing. Now that's good for single blade 6-channel helis, but not for these. Okay, you have to have some free blade slop here so that they can move freely. So then I took it outside and put her up in the air, had no hassles. I did have a couple little crashes at first. It's a little bit to get used to. A 4-channel helicopter in this size, and it's a new helicopter period for me to fly, so I was trying to get used to things and trying to set up controls on the fly too at the same time. But I had a couple little crashes, no big deal, did not do one bit of damage to the blades. Okay, so if you want a fix for breaking your blades a lot, try running them loose instead of tight, you know. And you're going to have a much better flying experience. Even your top balance bar, which people refer to also as a fly bar, will be able to react better with the blades too if they have some slack in them. So this way, when they are running, they can run out straight the way they should. And if you do bump into something, no big deal. It's gonna give against the object, and you can get away and recover. And maybe you still might crash, maybe you won't, but your chances of doing blade damage is a lot less. Okay, and like I said, I took a couple of crashes and not one bit of damage to the blades. So try that out, guys. If you have a CX4 or even the CX2 or any of your coaxials, run the blades looser. You know, like I said, to set them up, go tight first so that they just, you know, they're stiff, and then back them off till they're just loose like this. And you should have a much better experience, especially with this helicopter. Because, I mean, going through a ton of blades is not a very cool thing, okay? Especially at $5 a pack. You know, and that $5 gets you 2 blades, you know, a set of uppers, and then you need a set of lowers. So that can start getting costly. So, but I have no problems with this helicopter with its flying capabilities. It flies very well. You know, had no problems with it at all. So, back to the review. I don't like the plastic body on this thing. It's kind of, you know, kind of cheap and cheesy. There's no spine shaft inside. This is all hollow body here. So you're basically, your entire helicopter sits in the middle here with not even a boom in here for extra support. But it is kind of a squarey fuselage, so it's kind of rugged, I guess. I don't know how many hits it's going to take, but I do know it's about 30 bucks Canadian for a new body if you smash it. The one problem I did have was this tail fin back here. It's a bit of a pita, really. One of my crashes had popped it out a bit, so I had to snap it back in place before I could take off again. I found that a little bit annoying. The plastic landing gear, it's kind of stiff, but it's kind of flexible. I don't know how far I'd want to really push it, but it may do a good job. Now, I can guarantee you one thing: if you try flying in cold weather, you're going to have 2 problems. One of which is hard plastic. It's even more brittle, and the softer plastic is going to be the same way. It's going to get a lot more brittle. So cold weather flying would not be a good thing with this machine, okay? So fly it indoors in the cold weather if you have a big enough area to do that in, like, you know, a gym, for example. Outdoor weather, as long as it's above 10 degrees, I don't see any problems, okay? I like how the main front part of the fuselage is held on. It's got these rubber grommets, and you just pull at them and they'll pop through nice. And you know, this one, the last one, had a couple of crashes and just broke a little piece in here, so I just crazy glued that back together. It's just a little tiny piece, and you know, it was just annoying me to look at it. Your battery slips underneath, which is nice. And it has a stopper on it so that the battery balances itself very well out with the helicopter. And it is a 3-cell LiPo battery that they give you with this, with a 30C discharge rate. So it's a pretty decent little battery. I actually have it back on charge here now. So there's our battery. Now, your radio is a 5-channel. It's an LP5 DSM. Proportional 5-channel transmitter. Now, the other thing, I've read a few people saying, well, I got some spin problems. How do I get rid of it? And well, it wasn't so much a spin problem I first had the issue with, was getting my top rotor blade to start moving. And I thought, well, what the heck, you know? And turns out, channel 5, your dial needs to be turned all the way to 0. Okay, so all the way counterclockwise, and you won't have any problems firing up your upper and lower blades at the same time. And if you try messing with this at all, it's going to put spin into your machine, because it's going to actually slow down your uppers. So leave that dialed down to 0. This transmitter is probably on a few other different helicopters too, from Blade, so you know, who knows. The transmitter also has a voltage meter on it, so it tells you how many volts are left in your batteries. It does use 4 AA batteries in the back of the transmitter. You also have a trainer mode on here, and your trainer plug. From what I gather, these are for, you know, having somebody else help teach you how to fly. They can plug their remote in and, you know, whatever. It's like, it's a coaxial helicopter. You know, I don't need, you know, flight simulator time on one of those. But there's where your 4 batteries go in here. It is a nice quality remote. I like the sticks on it. They move and glide very smoothly. You know, so I'm really like that. Now, this is a mode 2 transmitter, so your throttle is on the left. A lot of guys talk about this being a very heavy bird and to get it off the ground too, and I find the same thing. So I actually set my throttle trim up just below center, and that actually gives me a little bit more throttle room so I can get off the ground just a little bit sooner. But I do find there's still, I mean, that's a lot of throttle period to get off the ground. You know, I've got other 3-channel helicopters that, you know, I get them maybe about here and I'm off the ground. This one I'm still just past half to get it off the ground. But once it is up in the air, you could floor it and go way the heck up there. It is 2.4 gigahertz technology, so it's going to have an extremely long range on it. It also has your carabiner attachment, so if you're going to use one of those carabiner neck jobbies to, you know, help keep your transmitter more steady so you don't accidentally drop it either, you can hook one up, and it's pretty heavy duty stuff. You've got your trim controls for left and right, which is going to be your spin in this case, your throttle, forward and backward trim control, and left and right banking control. So it is 4 channels, so you have your banking maneuver. In flying with this, I found, you know, very little movements are required, and it's very, very nice. It's a really decent helicopter as far as how it flies. Price-wise, I mean, in Canada, you're looking at about probably about 240 bucks on average. Some places you might get it a little bit cheaper, you know, but still, even at 240 bucks for a Blade helicopter, I'm supposing it's not too bad of a price, but they really could have done a better job on the body shell. At least if they would have put in a boom support down the middle, just to give it that extra bit of give. You know, so if it did get a good crash, it would only fold to a certain point, and not hopefully snap the fuselage. But it is still a pretty strong fuselage regardless, you know. And the parts price is pretty cheap on parts too. You know, cost of repair parts, you know, it is very cheap for this thing. So that's a great thing too. It's not going to keep the bank account broke, you know, when something goes wrong. Other than that, I don't know what else to tell you about it, other than it's a pretty decent machine, you know, overall. It's just that it's not going to fly in the wind that well. So idealistic, but that's all with all coaxials. They don't usually do well in the wind. So, you know, they're low to no wind machines, even in this size. I used to have a 450 sized helicopter coaxial, and even that thing was not very good in the wind, you know, even at 11 and 12 kilometers an hour. But you would think it would be better because you've got your entire blade here at moving your helicopter in all the directions. But it's just the nature of the beast, as they say. So anyways, if you guys have any questions or comments you'd like to leave, you know, feel free. And I'm going to be continuing to learn a little bit more about this thing as I go. But at least there is a possible, you know, I'd give this at least a good 95% chance that that's all the problem was the blades are too tight. And that's why people are breaking blades like crazy. And because even my 3-channel single blade helicopters, they get set up with loose blades. I will not set them tight, you know. And there are a lot of single blade helicopters that have fixed wings. And, you know, like the little micro helicopters, they're usually always a fixed wing, like the WL Toys V911. And it needs to be in that case, you know. But in the case of something like a coaxial, for sure, you got to run those blades looser, or you're going to end up having problems. And so anyways, thanks for watching, and we will be doing a flight video for you. We're just waiting for a little bit better weather this week, and hopefully we get some low wind, and we'll take it out, shoot some video for you, and show you how this thing actually flies outside, and go from there. So catch you on the next one.